Most men are chasing performance in the wrong places, looking for pills, quick fixes, or secret formulas, when the real shift can begin in the quietest moment of the day, alone at night, with nothing but your own hands, your breath, and a small amount of oil. What if the difference between frustration and confidence, between tension and control, between insecurity and grounded masculine presence, could start with a simple nighttime ritual that reconnects you to your own body? The nighttime oil routine is not about magic, and it is not about exaggeration. It is about circulation, awareness, nervous system regulation, and the powerful psychological link between touch and performance. When done consistently and mindfully, it becomes less about the oil itself and more about the message you send to your body that you are present, attentive, and invested in your own vitality. Many men move through their days disconnected from their physical selves, sitting for hours, stressed, overstimulated by screens, carrying silent pressure to perform, provide, and succeed. And by nighttime, their bodies are tight, their minds are racing, and their sexual energy feels either dulled or chaotic. Performance challenges often begin long before the bedroom, in poor blood flow, elevated cortisol, shallow breathing, and a lack of body awareness. A nighttime oil routine works because it deliberately slows you down. The warmth of the oil against your skin stimulates nerve endings and encourages blood circulation to the pelvic region, which is essential for healthy erectile function. But beyond physiology, it creates a ritual of intention. When you take 5 to 10 minutes before bed to gently massage the lower abdomen, inner thighs, and groin area with slow, deliberate movements, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the state responsible for relaxation and arousal readiness. Performance is not just about stimulation, it is about safety. The male body responds best when it feels calm and grounded, not pressured. This routine becomes a signal to your body that it is safe to relax, safe to expand, safe to respond. The choice of oil matters less than the consistency of the ritual, though many prefer natural oils such as almond, coconut, or sesame because they glide smoothly and nourish the skin. Warm the oil slightly in your palms before applying it, because warmth enhances circulation and signals comfort. As your hands move slowly across the lower abdomen, breathe deeply into your belly instead of your chest. Most men breathe shallowly, which keeps the body in a low-grade stress response. Deep diaphragmatic breathing during this routine increases oxygen flow and helps regulate hormones linked to performance and desire. As you massage, focus not on chasing arousal, but on building awareness. Notice areas of tightness. Notice if your inner thighs feel tense or if your lower abdomen feels rigid. Chronic tightness in these areas can restrict blood flow and nerve responsiveness. Gentle circular motions and slow upward strokes encourage circulation without forcing stimulation. Over time, this can improve sensitivity and responsiveness because you are enhancing the body's natural pathways rather than shocking them with sudden intensity. There is also a psychological transformation that happens when a man begins to intentionally care for his sexual health. Shame and silence often surround male performance issues, which only increases anxiety. This routine reframes the conversation internally. Instead of asking, "Why am I not performing the way I want?" you begin asking, "How can I support my body better?" That shift from criticism to care reduces performance anxiety, one of the most common barriers to consistent erections and stamina. The brain is the most powerful sexual organ in the body, and when it associates nighttime with stress relief rather than pressure, desire becomes more organic. Another overlooked benefit of a nighttime oil routine is improved pelvic floor awareness. Many men have either weak or overly tight pelvic floor muscles, both of which can interfere with stamina and control. As you massage the perineal area gently and breathe deeply, you can practice subtle engagement and release of the pelvic muscles, similar to controlled contractions. This builds neuromuscular awareness, which later translates into better control during intimacy. The key is subtlety. This is not an aggressive workout, but a slow strengthening of the mind-body connection. The more connected you feel to your own sensations, the less likely you are to feel out of control during high arousal moments. Sleep quality also improves when the body is relaxed before bed, and sleep is directly linked to testosterone production and sexual vitality. A rushed evening filled with scrolling and mental stimulation keeps dopamine levels erratic and disrupts hormonal balance. Replacing even 10 minutes of screen time with this grounding ritual can create a cascade of benefits. Your heart rate slows, your breathing deepens, your muscles soften, your mind quiets. All of this supports hormonal health. Men often underestimate how deeply emotional stress impacts physical performance. The body does not separate emotional tension from physical tension. When you massage your lower body with patience and care, you are symbolically releasing the pressure to always be strong and unshakable. You are giving yourself permission to unwind. That emotional permission often carries into the bedroom as confidence. True confidence is not loud or forced. It is calm. It is steady. It comes from knowing your body rather than fighting it. Over weeks of consistent practice, many men notice improved morning erections, increased warmth in the pelvic region, and a stronger sense of grounded presence. These changes are subtle at first, but they build. Performance is rarely transformed overnight. It is cultivated through habits that support circulation, hormonal balance, and psychological safety. The nighttime oil routine becomes a signal of self-respect. It says that your vitality matters, that your pleasure matters, that your long-term health matters. It shifts intimacy from something you hope will go well to something you are preparing your body for gently and consistently. And perhaps most importantly, it teaches patience. In a culture obsessed with instant results, patience is powerful. When you slow down with your own body, you build endurance not just physically, but mentally. You learn to tolerate sensation without rushing it. You learn to breathe through intensity rather than tighten against it. That skill alone can dramatically improve stamina and control during partnered intimacy. This is not about mechanical performance, it is about presence. A man who is present in his own body moves differently, touches differently, responds differently. His confidence is felt before anything even happens. As this routine becomes a nightly practice, it begins to shape how you see yourself, not as someone chasing performance, but as someone cultivating vitality from the inside out. This is where real change begins, in the quiet moments no one else sees, when you decide to treat your body as an ally rather than a problem to fix. As this routine becomes a nightly practice, it begins to shape how you see yourself, not as someone chasing performance, but as someone cultivating vitality from the inside out. This is where real change begins, in the quiet moments no one else sees, when you decide to treat your body as an ally rather than a problem to fix. And once that foundation is in place, the next layer is refinement, because a ritual only becomes transformative when it is done with awareness and intention rather than autopilot repetition. Many men make the mistake of turning even self-care into a task to complete quickly, rushing through the motions with distracted thoughts, checking the clock, expecting immediate results. That mindset keeps the nervous system in a subtle state of urgency, which works against the very goal of the practice. The deeper purpose of a nighttime oil routine is not stimulation, but regulation. It is about teaching the body to associate touch with calm, safety, and controlled arousal rather than pressure and performance demands. When you approach the ritual, dim the lights slightly and create a clear boundary between your day and your night. This transition matters more than most realize. The brain thrives on cues, and when you intentionally signal that this is a time for grounding, the body responds accordingly. Begin by warming the oil longer in your palms and bringing awareness to your breath before making contact with your skin. Slow inhales through the nose, filling the lower belly, followed by longer, controlled exhales through the mouth. Begin to lower cortisol levels. Only after you feel your breathing steady should your hands begin to move. The lower abdomen is often an emotional storage center. Stress, frustration, and even unspoken fear can manifest as tightness there. Spend time using broad, circular motions around the navel and gradually moving downward. Imagine you are not trying to achieve anything, but simply encouraging blood and warmth to circulate. This visualization strengthens the mind-body link. As circulation improves, tissues receive more oxygen and nutrients, which over time supports erectile quality and sensitivity. The inner thighs are equally important, yet frequently ignored. Large blood vessels run through this area, and gentle upward strokes toward the groin help guide circulation in a supportive direction. Maintain steady breathing throughout. If you notice your mind drifting toward performance worries or expectations about future encounters, gently redirect your focus back to sensation and breath. The power of this routine lies in presence. One advanced element that significantly enhances results is pelvic floor coordination. While massaging the area between the base of the pelvis and the lower abdomen, lightly engage the muscles you would use to stop urination, hold for a few seconds, and then release fully. The release is just as important as the engagement. Many men unknowingly hold chronic tension in these muscles, which can contribute to premature release or difficulty maintaining firmness. By practicing controlled contraction followed by complete relaxation, you train endurance and responsiveness simultaneously. Over time, this increases your ability to modulate arousal rather than being overtaken by it. Another refinement involves temperature contrast. After several minutes of warm oil massage, placing a warm towel over the lower abdomen for a short period enhances vasodilation and deepens relaxation. The warmth encourages muscles to soften further and allows the oil to absorb more effectively. The key is comfort, not intensity. Aggressive pressure or overstimulation can create microtension that counteracts the benefits. Gentle consistency always outperforms force. It is also essential to understand what this routine is not. It is not meant to replace medical evaluation if there are underlying health concerns. It is not a miracle cure. It is a supportive habit that improves circulation, reduces stress, and builds confidence through connection. Many performance struggles are rooted in anxiety rather than physical incapacity. When a man feels disconnected from his body, intimacy becomes unpredictable. When he feels familiar with his own responses, intimacy becomes collaborative rather than intimidating. This routine strengthens that familiarity. Over weeks, you may notice heightened sensitivity not in a fragile way, but in a responsive way. Sensation becomes clearer. You can detect the subtle buildup of arousal earlier, which allows you to regulate it through breath and pelvic control. This is the bridge between private practice and partnered intimacy. When the body is trained to relax under touch, it carries that memory into shared experiences. Instead of feeling like you must perform on command, you feel prepared. That preparedness changes your presence. A calm nervous system reads as confidence. A regulated breath reads as steadiness. Partners often respond more to energy than technique. When you are grounded, your touch becomes slower, more intentional, more attuned. There is also a psychological intimacy that emerges from knowing you are actively caring for your sexual health. It dissolves quiet insecurities. It replaces the question of will I be able to perform with the belief that I have prepared my body to respond. This subtle shift transforms anticipation from anxiety into excitement. Hormonal rhythms further amplify the benefits. Testosterone production is closely tied to sleep quality and stress levels. By incorporating this ritual before bed, you create a hormonal environment that supports vitality. Deeper sleep allows for more consistent nocturnal erections, which are a natural mechanism for maintaining tissue health. When these cycles occur regularly, they reinforce physiological readiness. What makes this routine powerful is that it is sustainable. It requires no expensive equipment, no secret formulas, no external validation. It is built on attention, breath, warmth, and repetition. The simplicity is its strength. Consistency over months compounds into noticeable improvement, not just in firmness or stamina, but in self-trust. You begin to understand your patterns. You notice how stress during the day affects sensation at night. You see how breath alters intensity. You become a participant in your own vitality rather than a passive observer hoping for better outcomes. The ritual evolves from a technique into a mindset. It becomes a nightly reminder that performance is not something to chase, but something to cultivate gently. As you continue practicing, you may feel shifts in posture and overall body awareness. The pelvis relaxes more naturally. The lower back feels less tight. Energy feels less trapped and more fluid. These changes spill into daily life, influencing how you walk, sit, and carry yourself. Sexual performance is deeply connected to overall embodiment. When you feel grounded in your body throughout the day, arousal does not feel foreign or overwhelming at night. It feels like a continuation of connection, and that continuity is what builds lasting confidence. The nighttime oil routine is ultimately about reclaiming ownership of your physical and emotional state. It is about slowing down enough to listen to your body's signals rather than overriding them. It is about learning that strength can coexist with softness, that control can arise from relaxation rather than force. When you internalize this, intimacy becomes less about proving yourself and more about sharing yourself. When you internalize this, intimacy becomes less about proving yourself and more about sharing yourself. And that is where the deepest transformation begins, because true performance stability is not built on intensity, but on integration. By the time this nighttime oil routine has become second nature, something subtle yet powerful has shifted inside you. You are no longer approaching intimacy as a test to pass or a role to play. You are entering it as a man who knows his body, understands his rhythms, and trusts his responses. That trust is magnetic. It changes how you initiate touch, how you hold eye contact, how you move when things begin to heat up. Instead of rushing toward a goal, you remain grounded in sensation. Instead of fearing loss of control, you feel capable of guiding your energy. And that sense of guidance does not come from dominance, but from awareness. The body that has been regularly massaged, warmed, and consciously relaxed learns to expand under stimulation rather than contract under pressure. Expansion is the foundation of endurance. When tension is low, blood flow is steady. When breath is deep, arousal builds gradually rather than explosively. When pelvic muscles have been trained to both engage and release, you can ride waves of sensation instead of being overwhelmed by them. This is how the ritual quietly rewires your relationship with pleasure. You begin to notice that performance is less about forcing firmness or prolonging stamina, and more about maintaining balance between excitement and calm. That balance is cultivated nightly in those quiet moments of self-contact and breath. Over months, the psychological impact becomes even more profound. The man who invests time into his own vitality carries himself differently in relationships. There is less hidden anxiety about whether tonight will go well. There is less mental noise during intimacy. Instead of monitoring yourself from the outside, you are immersed in the experience. Partners can feel that immersion. They sense when a man is fully present versus when he is mentally calculating. Presence builds emotional safety, and emotional safety enhances physical responsiveness for both people involved. The ripple effect extends beyond the bedroom. Confidence, rooted in bodily awareness, influences communication, leadership, and emotional steadiness. You become less reactive because you are practiced in calming your nervous system. You become more patient because you understand that slow build often creates stronger outcomes. This patience reshapes relationship dynamics. Instead of seeking quick validation through performance, you value connection, rhythm, and mutual responsiveness. The routine also deepens your understanding of energy cycles. Some nights you will feel strong and vibrant. Other nights you may feel tired or less responsive. Because you have cultivated awareness, you do not interpret natural fluctuations as failure. You recognize them as part of being human. This reduces the spiral of self-doubt that so often sabotages performance. The oil ritual becomes a nightly check-in, a way of asking your body how it feels rather than demanding that it perform on command. That respectful relationship with yourself fosters resilience. There will always be stressors in life, deadlines, responsibilities, unexpected pressures. But when you have a grounding practice that reconnects you to breath and sensation, you are less likely to let stress accumulate in the pelvis and lower abdomen, where it silently interferes with arousal. You release it regularly. You prevent buildup. In this way, the routine acts as maintenance rather than repair. It keeps the channels open instead of waiting for blockage. Another powerful transformation occurs in how you experience desire itself. Instead of viewing desire as something urgent that must be satisfied quickly, you begin to appreciate its gradual unfolding. The nightly ritual teaches you to enjoy warmth spreading through tissue, subtle tingling, slow increases in sensitivity. That appreciation translates directly into partnered intimacy. You become someone who values build-up, who understands that anticipation can be as pleasurable as climax. This perspective dramatically enhances stamina because you are no longer racing toward an endpoint. You are savoring the journey. Climax, when it comes, feels fuller and more satisfying because it arises from a foundation of relaxed arousal rather than frantic tension. The hormonal and physiological benefits continue quietly in the background. Better sleep supports testosterone regulation. Reduced cortisol protects vascular health. Improved circulation maintains tissue responsiveness. But perhaps the greatest benefit is self-respect. When you dedicate time each night to care for your body intentionally, you reinforce the belief that your vitality matters. That belief becomes embodied confidence. It shows up in how you stand, how you speak, how you initiate closeness. You are not seeking reassurance. You are offering steadiness. Over time, the ritual can even evolve into a shared practice if you choose. Some men eventually invite their partners into aspects of the routine, transforming it into a bonding experience rooted in relaxation rather than performance. But even if it remains private, its impact is visible. You become a man who understands that strength is not rigid, it is flexible, it breathes, it adapts. The nighttime oil routine is simple, yet its simplicity is deceptive. It touches circulation, nervous system balance, muscular coordination, hormonal support, and psychological security all at once. It teaches you that performance is not an isolated event, but the natural outcome of daily habits. It reminds you that your body responds best to care, patience, and presence, rather than criticism and force. In a world filled with loud promises of instant enhancement, this quiet ritual stands apart. It asks for consistency instead of urgency. It offers stability instead of spikes. And in return, it gives you something far more valuable than temporary performance boosts. It gives you ownership of your vitality. When you lie down at night after completing this practice, there is a subtle sense of alignment. Breath steady, body warm, mind quiet. that alignment carries into tomorrow and the next day, and into every intimate moment that follows. Performance becomes a byproduct of connection rather than a measure of worth. And that shift from chasing results to cultivating presence is what ultimately transforms not just how you perform, but how you experience intimacy itself.